Kung Fu Cowboy, tennis shoes on my feet. I'm a Kung Fu Cowboy.
You know, I'm getting this.
Hamburgers to eat.
Hello, Kung Fu Cowboy here. This is the Kung Fu Cowboy podcast. And I'm getting my... And I'm the record company, the artist, the producer, singer, songwriter, and graphic artist. So I'm kind of getting organized. I created a notebook of just Kung Fu Cowboy singles. And then I'll have another notebook which will have American Zen singles. But anyway, we're going through the Kung Fu Cowboy because it's the Kung Fu Cowboy podcast. Although I have made a lot of references to American Zen because I was actually the Kung Fu Cowboy when I was in American Zen too. So anyway, this song we're on single number 6. And this single was released May 8th, 2024, which is my son's birthday. And since he was born in 2008, what was he, 26 or something? So I don't keep track of their ages. And my daughter's like 7 years older than that. So what is she now? She must be 31. Or no more than that. But anyway, 6 plus 7, 20, 33. I don't know. Gee, honest with you. I never talk about age. And ever since she was 18, she's been out of my life, which is a shame. But the moment she turned 18, I was really thinking, oh, now I can talk to her as a parent, because I was really avoiding a lot of topics. Didn't talk about drugs because the last thing I'd want to do is her getting drugs. Oh, my dad was the one who influenced me. So no, I did not influence my kids towards drugs at all. I kept all my own drug stories. I didn't even want them to read Sid's Place until they were 18. Of course, now they don't want to read anything, but they wanted to read it. I said, no, why don't you wait till you're 18? So I didn't want to feel like I inspired them to do drugs through that book anyway. So I was maybe too guarded, but I was good. I raised my kids really good. I was maybe too cautious. Okay, anyway, this song is called Land of the Free. This is number 6 of the song singles, my Kung Fu Cowboy. Released May 8th on my son's birthday. Anyway, I called him up and said, hey, I'm going to release a song on your birthday. And he seemed copacetic about it. And we were happy, had a nice conversation. Of course, he's not real excited. He didn't care. But I wish he did care, but he didn't. But he was nice. We had a good conversation. And he seemed to appreciate the fact that I chose his birthday as the release date. But anyway, this Land of the Free, more of my political. I've never done political songs or maybe some, not even much in the way of poetry. Now, I did poetry. I started doing political poetry when Trump came in. So yeah, ever since Trump's been around, I've become political. Primary genre of this song is rock and classic rock or rock and psychedelic rock. Really? Psychedelic? Well, it's got wah on it, I think. Oh, anyway, the mood is patriotic. Hey, how about that? And it sounds like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I only got one band. I guess couldn't find 2 other bands to make it sound like. In fact, I got the lyrics here, so I get to read them. I got to get organized in this book and put the lyrics behind them. I want to beef them up and fill out each of these so that if I could ever actually hire someone, or maybe after I die, somebody's going to pick this up and go, oh, yeah, hey, these are good marketing ideas. Let's release these singles again and promote them or something. So maybe I'll find somebody after, I don't know. I want to be famous and successful before I die. Come on, help me. Give me 70 cents. Buy a song. Buy 10 songs. And heck, I'll be able to buy a hamburger. Okay, anyway, Land of the Free. Composer is Richard Del Conner. Lyricist is Richard Del Conner. The publisher is ShaolinMusic.com. And the record company is Shaolin Records. Why doesn't that mean anything? If Bruce Lee wouldn't have destroyed Kung Fu, I could be the most popular record company on the planet. Everybody would be looking for Shaolin, and I'd be coming up in all the searches. But nobody cares. Nobody's looking for Shaolin. There's these Shaolin monks now. They got this video ads that I see once in a while. That, oh, God, they're so disgusting. They're hitting themselves with sticks and stuff like that. Like I said, these monks that come from the Shaolin Temple are bogus. Their Buddhism's bogus. Their Kung Fu's bogus. They're gymnasts. I mean, they can jump and flip and do stuff I can't do, but what the heck? That's not self-defense. They're doing things that I'd never even want to teach people. But anyway, let's see. And they're still doing needles and knives to their throat and laying on pins and anyway, stuff that I think is just carnival. Anyway, so the Shaolin Temple is not where there's Shaolin Kung Fu. This is where you can find Shaolin Kung Fu. And my actual online school, which I'm going to put all these videos and stuff for my different programs, is at ShaolinInteractive.com. Go check it out. It's not very sellable. I made it kind of like really staunch and manly and marine, like rah, 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 a little bit too much, I think, So I got to like make it, come here and, learn to have peace of mind and this and that. And because we're nonviolent, you don't get hurt in my school. You'll never get a broken bone. I've been teaching since 1984 and it's 2024, not one single broken bone. I go visit karate schools. I see broken bones when I'm just visiting them for a few minutes all the time, Kids breaking their toes, because they go barefoot, which is ridiculous. My schools, you don't go barefoot ever. That's just ridiculous. You're not going to fight barefoot, and you don't practice barefoot, and you don't kick people barefoot. Like I said, karate is ridiculous. I can't say anything good about karate. Sorry. And a lot of Kung Fu's crap, because it's karate people who don't know Kung Fu. They learned a couple extra kicks and call it Kung Fu. Maybe they learned a couple dances, plenty of Kung Fu online, but real Kung Fu, I'm certified. Do you remember I'm a disciple of Wong Jack Man, who was the guy that fought Bruce Lee, who was a very famous Shaolin master who came from China, who was famous in China, and his master was Guru Zhang, who's very famous as being the very first person to learn Shaolin Kung Fu, who was not a Buddhist monk of the Shaolin Temple. And then, of course, the rest of my lineage is all those Shaolin monks at the temple. So I'm like 3 generations away from being in the temple and doing Kung Fu with a bald head. So anyway, Land of the Free. Yeah, I got time to do the lyrics. Here we go. This was written on April 20th. I put the date on this one with my 6 signatures. All right, here we go. And this is my nightmare. I got to explain this, and then the song will make sense. Because I know or believe that reincarnation exists, I don't want to reincarnate. This is my last life, I think. I don't want to come back. It's not like I wouldn't like to come back if I couldn't be born into a rich family who were intelligent and scientific and compassionate. That could be wonderful. What are the odds of that? I can't even find those people. I've been here 70 years. I can't, where are those families? I don't know where they are. So the odds of me finding a good family, even in America, in California, is actually really, really low. There's not many families I'd want to be born into. Let's put it that way, that I feel would be inspiring or supporting of me as an artist. Very, very, very few families, and nothing's coming to mind. I don't want to be too insulting. There must be somebody. But anyway, so I don't know if I want to reincarnate. But then imagine, what if I was born in Texas? Where they just want to harvest my eggs and won't let me have an abortion or birth control or contraception or anything. God, that's like, that's like just being a queen ant. All they do is chain you up and make you spit out babies, and then they take off your baby. You take away, you're just captive. You're just a captive. You're there just to pump out babies, That's just so gross. That's a nightmare to me. Just an absolute nightmare. So I don't want to be born and have to live that life of being a slave who's there just to pump out babies and then have to stay around and protect them from their father, beating them up and kicking them around. So I don't know if I want to reincarnate. I mean, I got a good deal this time, but it still sucked. I was into a family where they didn't beat me. There was no cussing. There was no violence. They weren't very smart. They weren't supportive. They weren't artistic, but they weren't evil towards me. Other than the fact they were evil towards my being creative. They never supported it and said it's bad and stop doing it and stop writing books, stop making music, stop. In fact, they used to say, my mom's favorite saying was, dreams don't pay the bills. And then I heard my brother start saying it. So I guess they call it all kind of agreed amongst themselves that dreams don't pay the bills was the slogan of my family when they talk about me. I'm a dreamer, and they think dreams are bad. Okay. That's right, because they have nothing but nightmares. But anyway, my dreams are all good. I have lots of good dreams. I just wish I could find some people who'd help me make them come true. Okay, here we go. Land of the free. If I was a girl, I wouldn't live in Texas unless I wanted to join a herd of cows. Now Arizona has enslaved women's rights. They are living in 1964, before women were allowed to vote or go out at night. See, that's the thing, too. This was inspired by that thing in Arizona where they're living under that 1864 contraception, anti-abortion laws and stuff like that. And by the way, people think they repealed it. No, they only voted to take a vote on it in 2 more months whether to repeal it. So it's still there. They're still living in 1864 in Arizona. Who'd want to be? I don't want to live in 1864 in Arizona. Anyway, second verse. There is a group of men who run our country. They control our taxes and military. We citizens decide who should speak for us. But politicians work for special interests hidden in the omnibus. So whenever they're passing these bills, they sneak in all these other things like anti-contraception and things, Oh, that's infrastructure. We're going to build these bridges and these highways. Then they take a little bill that says, oh, yes, and we're also going to prevent women from having contraceptions. And they stick it in, and they call it the omnibus. Omni means everything. So they package other bills in there, and they can hide the things that would never go on their own all alone. So they sneak them in or hide them, And then maybe it's the Democrats. They just really want this big bill so bad that they just kind of like have to give in to some of these special interests, give less taxes to the wealthy and stuff like that. But at least they can build the bridges and the roads. So that's the way the government works. They just work against each other. It's horrible. Our American government may be better than most governments, but it sucks in some way. It could be so much improved, but no, they don't want to improve it. They like it broken, so it's easier to corrupt and get their own illegal things done. Okay. It seems that every state governed by a Republican is creating new laws to strip women of their freedom. Okay? All these Republican states are all taking away all the women's rights. They're going backwards. Jill Biden, the wife of our current president, said recently, I heard her do a speech. She says, the girls are being born today have less rights than I and my generation did. So I come from a generation that had more rights than the people being born now. So in other words, we have less rights. Our country has gone backwards. We're taking away, take away the right to vote while you're at it. Don't let women vote. Yeah, that's the direction we're going. That'd be the next step, take away their vote. Okay, well, that's what they do. I told you, they did 1,000 bills. It's literally, I'm saying 1,000, it's way more than that. In all these states, they keep running them and failing them, but they just keep pumping them through so that maybe one of them will go through. And at least they're little things. Oh, you can't do this many election boxes. Can't too many elections. You have to have an extra signature. You got to have your ID. They're just making it as hard as possible for people to vote. That's the Republican strategy because they're actually a minority. So the more people's ballots they can get rid of, and then they make sure that the Republicans' votes go through, then they can win, but only by cheating. They can't do it. They have to lie and cheat in order to win. Okay. Last verse, or no, actually, this is the chorus. I want to live in the land of the free. I thought I was there, but now it's disappearing. As the industrial complex keeps us in slavery, industrial, not the military, but the industrial complex, all the big owners of business, our top 0.1% who they gave $4 trillion to. Our national debt went up over $3 trillion during the Trump years because he gave $3 trillion to all the billionaires and trillionaires. So anyway. Okay, where were we? That's a fact. Go look it up. I'm not trying to say anything that can't be substantiated. No, these aren't rumors. I've seen the statistics and the fact. Anyway, as the industrial complex keeps us in slavery. Oh, remember they want those eggs too in that other song. I'm saying that. Anyway, with Fox News deciding who we should be fearing. Remember, that's what Fox News is about. Fear. Mass immigrations, mass migrations, mass debt, mass this, mass everything. It's worse than ever. The economy's down. They're lying. The economy's up. Oh, there's all this crime. Well, there's actually less crime. There's more murder than ever before in history. It's like 1/10 the amount of murders they had, last century. So they just lie and they just instill fear and hatred, and that's the Republican principle. God, I hate politics. I mean, why? And those are the evil people, all the dumb people, the minions, just need a few people who are going to make a lot of money, and then they get millions of people to believe them with all these lies, and they just make a lot of money, and all these little people, they don't care about them. They're just rodents. They're cattle. They don't care about them. So the fact they're lying to them doesn't bother them at all. I'm just noticing some other, this particular chapter, I happen to have more information about this. But anyway, okay, so there we are. So go get it. Land of the Free. It was one other song that I wrote, I recorded, and I released it. Kind of my new concept. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll write, record a song, and then I'll do a podcast. So anyway, go get it. How long? Hey, 15 minutes, almost in a few seconds. Good timing there. Kung Fu Cowboy here. Go get the song, Land of the Free.